Hello, Mo.
Hi,
So
Tanya.
glad to have you on the series for our little faceplant interview series with interesting people in the houseplant market and botany. But today you're here for houseplants. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm glad to be here and thank you for inviting me. Um, so yeah, I'm Mo Bula. I run the Botanical Archive. I'm a plant stylist. Um, so the Botanical Archive is a plant styling and interior biophilic design company. Um, so we do kind of commercial and residential spaces and green them up basically.
You green them. Okay, so do you take the plants I already have, or can I get like new plants from you?
So the majority of them would be new plants. So we'd go into a space, we'd kind of look at the requirements of the space, work out a spec, and then install them as well. And then we provide like a maintenance service after. So yeah, it's the whole thing or some of the thing, if depending on what the client wants.
Nice. Now I want to rip out everything from my plant room and have you turn it into
Yeah,
something nice.
sadly, I
Because
mean,
now it's just a big old green mess. Yeah, retail spaces makes totally sense. I do find it interesting in private spaces, to have somebody else come in but then again, I'm a control freak.
I think interestingly, particularly since COVID, people have been wanting a lot more kind of greenery in their home because I think we spend a lot more time in our homes now. So kind of making them feel like green spaces where it's kind of a little bit more, it's good for your well-being. It's good to kind of rejuvenate your spirit to have
Right.
around you and have them around you in like an appropriate way and in a way that looks nice and fits your interior design.
Yeah. It's really not that easy as people would think, to just go out and buy a pot of something and then also make it look nice. I mean, considering how often I move my plants around, even though I probably shouldn't, because I mean, it's like moving them every time, I guess. Um, Actually, that ties into one of the questions I have for you, and that is how do you balance aesthetics and plant health or plant requirements? I think that's really hard for people. Like just this morning, my former kindergarten teacher, or my daughter's former kindergarten teacher, she sent me a photo of a fiddle leaf fig that she has in her living room against a dark blue wall,
Yeah.
really far from the window. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. But she's like, yeah, it looks so nice against that dark blue background, but it's just not thriving. So, do you have any tips regarding that?
I think that's one of the things we find is that people buy a plant and they put it somewhere that it's probably not going to thrive in, and then it doesn't do so well, but it looks good for the kind of month that it's living there and surviving on its own kind of like inbuilt nutrition and everything. But I think longer term, you want to what we do is we want to make sure that the plant is suitable for the space. So we'd go in, have a look at the entire environment, work out what plants would work in the space, and then figure out a way of making it look good, as opposed to putting in plants that people will like, but that won't survive long term. So I think longevity is kind of the most important thing, and then work backwards from there.
Hmm. I agree. There's also the issue of sustainability, right?
Yeah.
Because just cycling through copious amounts of plants isn't just very nice for the planet.
No, exactly.
Right. Okay. Another question for you. Since if I were to hire you, you would go out and assess my space and be that my home or my office, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, you'd go out and find the plants. How do you personally, for your own collection, but also for your clients, how do you stay up to date on plant trends? And is that something that we should be worrying about at all? Is there merit in that?
Um, I think there's merit to some extent in the sense that you can often find things by staying up to date. You can find nice, cool plants that you probably haven't heard of before. I tend to stay up to date just through Instagram, just kind of through my Instagram feed and just kind of seeing what people are growing, seeing what people are uh, kind of enjoying at the moment. I tend not to place too much emphasis on the trend aspect of it because I feel like trends come and go. Whereas what I like is the kind of horticulture side of it, the botany side of it, and finding plants that are a little bit unusual and finding ways of making them look nice in my home. And I also like a challenge, so I'd like to kind of source things that I know will give me a bit of trouble, and kind of knowing that I can grow them is quite an achievement. So yeah, I think staying up to date in the sense that you can get an idea of what things are out there, as opposed to what do I need to buy because everybody else is buying. I think that's probably the wrong mindset. So yeah,
I agree. I agree. So are there any hashtags that come to mind that you would say follow that to get like some really good ideas of what's out there?
Anything aroid related, I think, is usually a winner. I'm quite big on pipers at the moment and ferns, and particularly kind of like understory ferns, like the real like tiny little ones that you probably wouldn't even see if you were out looking in the wild. But yeah, so I think following some of the kind of societies that are related to some of these plants, or like the aroid societies, there are quite a number of fern societies, succulents as well. I think following their Instagram pages, and then you could probably get suggested links based on that and things that they repost on their stories, and then eventually your whole feed will be covered.
Okay, sounds good. Makes sense. What is the most unusual plant that you've ever had in your own collection? Like perhaps something that your average houseplant enthusiast wouldn't know off the top of their head, or that grows in a special way.
So I've got two that come to mind. So there's a piper I have from New Guinea, which is currently undescribed, and it's like the size of my fingernail, and it's iridescent. So when you look at it in certain lights, it's like bright purple and almost like glowing. And yeah, the plant is literally grows like that much every leaf,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's the coolest little plant. And again, it's one of those plants you would never even notice unless you kind of like stop to actually stare at it and appreciate how cool it is.
A piper is a pepper plant, no?
A pepper plant, yeah.
Right. Okay. I've had a few myself, the Piper crocatum, and I also had a variegated piper. Unfortunately, I managed to unalive that. Stupid rookie mistake right after importing. But yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to go to your Instagram and see if you shared a photo.
Yeah, it's on there. It's
And you
quite
said a
difficult.
second plant?
The second plant is Rhodospatha from South America, and again iridescent and just really unusual, and again undescribed. Not many people are studying Rhodospatha at the moment, so
Is
yeah.
there a common name for that? Because
Uh,
that Latin name says nothing.
no, it's in the aroid family.
Okay.
It grows up trees. It gets quite big. Particularly with this Rhodospatha, it's better to keep it relatively small because the leaves tend to be a little bit more striking. I think as they climb and as they grow and as they get larger, they tend to be a little bit more boring, I would say.
Okay.
The cooler leaves are always in the like juvenile stages with Rhodospathas and pipers and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, we have that with some of the Syngonium as well, right?
Yeah.
The Wendlandii and
Yeah.
Rai or something. Yeah. Okay. So to wrap up this short interview, would you like to share your most precious plant-related memory with us? Is there like any story in your life that has to do with plants that keeps your heart warm?
I think for me, it's going to the Chelsea Flower Show and winning a medal at the Chelsea Flower Show. I think that was a big highlight for me. I think Chelsea was always, for me anyway, it was seen as something a little bit kind of unattainable, and someone like me wouldn't necessarily be able to go there. So to actually go exhibit and display there and then win was quite
What did you win for?
For a houseplant studio. So I was
Okay.
in categories for in the kind of houseplant section, and we won a silver gilt medal, which I was really pleased about. So yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Okay.
Fun fact, I recently watched a show on Netflix and they referenced The Diplomat and they referenced the Chelsea Flower Show. And I was like, I know somebody who's won there because, I mean, I know this about you, right? But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that was a really special moment. It's always good to be recognized for the work that we do with love and passion, right?
For sure. For sure.
Right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Mo. On Instagram, we can find you under the Botanical Archive
The Botanical Archive, yeah.
website as well, obviously. And yeah, dear viewers, if you have a space, be that in your home or in your business, that you would like to greenify with special plants designed by Mo, yours truly, please do get in contact with him. And be sure to check out the hashtags that he mentioned for great plant content. Mo, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thanks. Take care, Tanya.